Good morning, it's me again. Now with Charlie. Now he's got a few bits and pieces, and he does up old plant, and he's an old tractor driver. Not tractor driver, what are you, Charlie?
Track shovel.
Track shovel. He's got drots and bits and pieces. We're going to have an interview with him firstly, and he's going to tell us about his past and his father, what he did on the farms, and one thing and another. And then we're going to get round to looking at some of his machinery, and perhaps even starting one up, mate, Charlie?
Yeah, if you like, mate.
That'd be fantastic. Anyway,
Absolutely.
let's get on with this video. Oh, first and foremost, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up for me if you like it, and have a think about subscribing to the channel. It makes it more visible for everybody else. And anyway, enough talking, let's get on with the video. Well, good morning, Charlie. How you doing?
Morning, Robin. Yeah, nice to meet you, mate.
Yeah, good. And driving past your place, and I noticed there's some old machines in it. Now, tell me a little bit about your history. How did you start on bulldozering and drots and machines?
Well, originally we was brought up on a farm. My dad had tipper trucks doing muck away and that sort of thing. Did both, with a bit of farming and a bit of this and a bit of that, you know, a bit of anything really to make a living.
But you come from South London, though. That's
originally our family way back when, but not recently. You know,
right,
you know, from sort of dad was from Epsom Bay, you know, that sort of thing.
Right.
But
Posh,
then moved down to Crawley, which was more countrified, I suppose. But yeah, got on and grew up in a sort of farming, you know, lifestyle.
Background.
Yeah, and a bit of digger driving and tractor driving and all sorts, and having to do and mend everything and do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then just got going in life. Worked for my dad when I left school for a little while.
Your dad had a company of his own, didn't he?
He did have a few tippers, about 3 or 4 little, just a little, you know, outfit, not very big, just 2 or 3 little tippers. And also he liked the farming, I think, better than he did the actual tippers really. But the tippers earned decent money, so you know, you could earn a few quid like that and do both. So but I think he preferred the farming, you know. But
so, what age did you first start the machine? Did you first start to learn to drive a machine?
I can remember driving a Drott when I was probably 10, I think.
Really?
Maybe earlier, I don't know. I can't remember that back.
Health and safety rules wouldn't allow that now, would it, mate?
No. But loved it. It was exciting when you were a kid driving something like that. It seemed a big bit of machinery to me at the time, you know. But you know, I quite enjoyed it, and Dad used to put us on it. We were his little workforce, you know. So he could leave us on a job and we could just get it done for him, you know. You know, I've got several brothers as well that were all very much the same, very good at doing all sorts of stuff, you know. We could all turn
So
out.
what was this, a sort of like an after school thing or a weekend thing, a school?
Any time, any moment he could get us working, we worked.
For cheap labour,
Exactly that.
Cheap
Exactly
labour.
that.
But
Exactly that.
you learnt the lesson of life, though, didn't you, really?
Absolutely.
You know,
we did,
you learnt to respect your elders.
Yeah.
You've done your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And so to speak. And here you are now with a few machines, more than a few machines.
Oh, I've got a couple. I've got nothing, you know. My brother's got a bigger company than I, you know, he's got a great big tipper firm. But I did work for my brother Peter. After I was saying, we just go back in time a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I went on for my brother Peter shortly after working for my dad, driving a bulldozer, mainly on the landfill sites, you know, pushing out stuff and that, and then progressed back on to driving Drotts as he got bigger and bigger. Then moved into doing more civil engineering works on road works and airports and all that sort of stuff. And that's where I stayed for about best part of probably 10, 15 years, something like that. Yeah, driving a Caterpillar 953.
Now they tell me, I don't know how true it is, they call you 5 mil Charlie or something.
They used to, years. So it's just a load of rubbish really. But yeah, we used to have to do some very, out in the airport, it was a very tight tolerances we had to work to, doing dry lean concrete. And it had to be right. It was no tolerance really. It was you know, all or nothing situation.
Sorry,
airplanes
going over. Okay, sorry, we carry on.
It was out in the airport. The work was had to be exactly right. Do you know what I mean? Because when
it cost money, didn't it?
Exactly, laying big, massive areas of blacktop on top of what we were doing.
When you say blacktop, full of
tarmac,
right?
Basically, yeah. So it was great big construction jobs. We used to go in and break out recon work, basically breaking out the old taxiways, digging it all out, recycling the crushed concrete, putting that back in, levelling that in, and then putting in dry lean concrete on top of that, and then on top of that it was blacktop. Basically, that's a basic.
So what would you
overview?
How would you break the concrete? Would you like have a tooth on the back of the machine or something?
No. They at one point they had these big things out there called a Bigfoot with a big piston. It just used to crack and smash the concrete to pieces. But then that used to break the culvert drains underneath the airport. So they didn't like that. So in the end, they had machines out there like 40-ton excavators with breakers on, just breaking it, just popping it, and then just rip it up. But it was 500mm thick. PQ in the airport.
Really?
So it's quite and then crush that down to type 1 again and bring that back in.
So even there, is it? I presume it must be the same because if you land in jumbo jets,
it depends on the construction. Yeah, it depends on what they need to be using. I mean, I haven't been out there for a long time, Robin. You know, probably 20 odd years now.
Yeah.
So, but in them days, it was 500mm of PQ.
PQ
is concrete. It's I don't know what it stands for now. I can't remember, but it was a certain grade of concrete, really like the really good quality, best of the best sort of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But and then we were sort of changing it to a different on the taxiways. It went to tarmac.
Yeah.
It went to a tarmac finish. So all the taxiways that are out in Gatwick at the moment, most of them, I've laid all the dry lean under most of them.
Oh really?
I did about 9 years in the airport non-stop.
No.
Yeah. Well.
So, you've earned money out of the airport.
Well, I earned a living. It was tough old work though. It's it's quite hard going.
Yeah.
It was it's full bore all the time. It's not.
Now tell us a bit about your father. Now obviously he started the business and he got into it by a tipper. You say running tippers or something?
Yes, he had a few tippers. I don't know how it started, but he used to have little 4-wheel.
Right. Anyway, on we go.
He used to have little 4-wheelers. I can remember having Bedfords, little old Bedfords. And then progressed to 6-wheelers. I remember he had a big guy, which was a big lorry then for us, was a 6-wheeler, and that was when we were little. I was about 10 then. I can remember that. And then he had Albions and Leyland Super Comets.
Albion, now that's a blast from the past, isn't it?
Leyland Super Comets, and then they went on to 8-wheelers, which was a really. He always said that the big lorries ruined it. Because obviously they take more, so the rates went down.
Yeah.
The rate, it killed the rates because he had little lorries.
Right.
As soon as people started getting big lorries, the rates got cut in half.
Yeah.
So he kind of didn't like that, but then he had to move on to 8-wheelers. Then we used to have Scammells, Fodens, S39 Fodens with a Mickey Mouse cab.
That's what they called it because it had a split screen.
The early one was a Mickey Mouse cab,
Yeah.
but I think the S39 it wasn't a Mickey Mouse, but it was that sort of that sort of stuff.
But your father come from a farming background.
Yeah. I think his dad had a farm, and they used to, do cattle. He liked his cattle, really. My dad, he was into cattle.
Oh, right.
We had pigs as well, but not only small, and a small, very small scale.
But back then, you could make some money on a small farm, can't you?
Yeah, he used to do all right. It was a bit of extra. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was hard graft.
Yeah, I mean 1,000 acres these days you'd need.
Exactly. At least nowadays you'd need that. Yeah. But them days it was a little. I think Dad just liked doing it. Really, it was just.
And obviously he had brothers that was still in farming there, is he?
Well, my dad never had any brothers. No, he had just I think 5 sisters.
Right.
Yeah, but no, they did. He's. I think my dad's dad or my grandfathers had brothers that did farming. I don't know. To go back that far, Robin, is a bit.
Well, no, it's history. I love the history.
I should have looked. I should have really looked up a bit more. But no, that's sort. I didn't really go back that far, but. I only really know what my dad did and that really, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So anyway, getting back to the drots and the machines you've got now, you do all your own maintenance, do you?
Yeah, do everything.
You can do
everything.
Have you got a workshop that you can pull an engine out with?
Yeah, I've got this little place here, but it's only a little, very small workshop.
So what do you use? A 360 to pull an engine or something like that?
Or maybe borrow my brother's hired lorry or something if I can, if I can grovel enough and get round there and borrow it, or whatever.
So removing tracks.
Yeah, I do all that myself.
All the gearboxes, the winches.
Yeah, I do everything. Everything. Welding, building up the buckets. When I used to do
because you have the welding to make the blade wear.
With the Cat 953, we used to wear the bucket out in record time, out and levelling out that crushed concrete. It was just wear the bucket out in no time whatsoever. You'd end up replating the bucket all the time. And if you didn't, the next thing I'd be doing was trimming up dry lean. And if it wasn't set right, the bucket, it was very hard to get it to trim off such a
A fine
to
margin.
a very fine tolerance.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah.
If you've got someone else to build the bucket up for you, and they weld a great big chunks of metal on it, and you're trying to trim, and you go in and you're like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. So I used to have to do it myself, so I knew what I was doing, so I knew how to get it to work.
Fantastic.
You know,
yeah. See, that's your apprenticeship, though, isn't
People
it?
think it's just, I'll just get on a machine and drive it, but when you're doing really fine levelling like that, it's
without
actually
GPS or anything like that.
No GPS, none of
No.
that. Rubbish.
You know?
GPS.
Yeah, but I mean, like these days, the blades are controlled by the GPS.
On a bulldozer. Oh yes, yeah. I don't know about the. I think they probably do a track shovel one. I don't know, but on the bulldozer certainly, yeah. All that GPS. Yeah. I've never driven one with GPS. I wouldn't know anything about it. Really? Honestly, I'd know nothing.
And you were talking about planers earlier, because the old boys used to take the mickey out of you, really, drive past you with their
the grader,
the grader.
Yeah. On the motorways, yeah, they used to go past me so fast and throw this, literally flick the stone onto you with a grader, 16G grader. Alan Smith, I think his name was. He was a brilliant grader driver. Out on the M25, I was working with him. He was absolutely fantastic driver, unbelievable. And it was
thinking of past though, weren't they?
Well, on them sort of jobs, it was only a recon jobs I was on, really. You know, Robin, and to get a grader in, when you're doing a recon, it's a very narrow strip.
Yeah.
To get a grader in, it's quite tight to get it in there. But sometimes we did two carriageways at a time, and you could get a grader in. If I could get a grader in, they would. Otherwise, it was me with a track shovel, because it's narrow.
So how'd you learn? I mean, and I've drove diggers with blades on the one thing, and I can never get them, because you go over a lump and it digs an hole in.
Yeah, you do get that. I used to have an old chap used to say to me, never mind the fancy stuff, just level it out. You know, just taking the mick out of me, because when you're starting out, I was starting out when I was a youngster, and you do start a bit of that. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to get, when you start, you don't know how to get out of it at first until you've done a bit, you know, a few years. And even now I still do it. You still get that, and you see, you know, it annoys you, but it's quite a difficult.
Now, when I try to level on a little 360 or something like that, I go backwards. Now, you say
stone flicker. We used to call them stone.
Oh, is it? That's what it's called.
When you backblade, it flicks the stones up. Oh, look, he's stone flicking.
So you plane forwards then, do you?
Cut it off. You cut it with a blade, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you're really tracking over what you've cut already.
Yeah, you level it out best you can. We used to put it in when we, putting stone in and that. You put it in maybe an inch high, half inch high. Bone it in rough with a traveller.
Bone it in rough.
Bone it in. When you're boning it means boning it. You use 2 bits of wood. There's levels are set out on either side of your job, and you look through and just do it. It's a rough level. Yeah. And then when it comes to fine levelling, they put pins in and you pull string lines. This is the old school method. Now it's all GPS, obviously.
Yeah.
But some people still use the pin and line, situation. But I haven't.
Do you still use it?
I would if it, yeah, absolutely. It works good. It's good. As long as the pins are put in right,
Yeah. And that's
we used to get a lot of. It wasn't where we'd have to go back over it where someone's put the pins in wrong. Engineer's problem. But
so tell me the first machine you ever started actually on. What was when you was 10 years old? What
International B100.
Oh, that's that little red thing, isn't it?
No, that's a BTD6 you're thinking of.
Oh, right.
Same machine, but a little bit older. Yeah. Same thing.
And you started it not on the old petrol system?
No, Can of Easy Start was us. So we never had a good one at the start with a heater plug. Because if you had a good one, it'd start on a heater plug. Is
that about to say the D4 size, what I would say?
Yeah, a little bit smaller.
A little bit smaller than the D4.
6-7 ton.
And would you have a blade on the front of it?
4-in-1 bucket.
4-in-1 bucket.
Same as we call it a drop. People don't, nowadays don't really know what a drop is.
No.
But
tell the viewers what's a drop then. What is a drop?
It's a track shovel. It's a tracked machine, almost like a bulldozer, with a set of arms, with a bucket that you can load with, and a 4-in-1 bucket. Sometimes it didn't have a 4-in-1. Sometimes it just had a standard bucket.
So, if we think about modern machines, say like the JCBs, and you can see that bucket that splits and opens and closes.
That's the 4-in-1 yeah.
That's the 4-in-1 bucket.
Yeah. That's it.
So you can dig, sort of dig with it.
You can dig with it. You can grab things with it. Yeah. You can grub out trees again. It was great when COVID kicked off. We had none of this.
Yeah. So you was explaining what a drop was, basically a shovel with a 4-in-1 bucket before the aircraft rudely interrupted us.
Yeah, I can't remember where I was now, but
you was back on the B100s, was it?
B100s, we were saying that you can grub out trees with it, with the teeth. You can, you can do all sorts of work with them. They're fantastic.
So back in the 70s and 80s, when all the orchards were being grubbed because of we went into the European market, bit of a swear word. So you done a bit of all that, did you then?
I used to go on for a chat. When I first left school, when I was 17, I actually went out on hire on a B100, which even then days was a bit embarrassing because they were such an old machine. But Dad still had them. And a guy called Dick Salter locally used to have a big farm, over in Smallfield, and we used to go out and grub out the hedges.
Yeah.
I used to do like the whole summer there on this B100,
Really?
grubbing out hedges, spreading this slurry from the slurry pits, the slurry tank, you know, where they built up over the winter
What a
from the dairy farm.
fantastic
Yeah,
life
building
of work.
roads out of chalk for him, for his, you know, for that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
£6 an hour my dad used to charge.
£6.
£6
Is
an hour.
that including the hire of the
That was-
machine?
No, he used to supply the diesel. Yeah, with me and the machine, £6 an hour.
No.
Honestly, yeah.
God,
Yeah.
blimey, that's a bit of a...
Yeah.
So, where did you go from there? From the little B100s? What did we went on from there?
Well, really, straight on from my brother, really. I mean, Dad had another little machine, a Massey 300, which was slightly bigger than the Drop with a power shift controls, got a bit, you know...
Bit more modern.
Bit more modern, you know.
Yeah.
Even that was old then, you know, but to us it was modern, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah. Comfortable seat, cab?
Yeah, cab and luxury, you know, yeah, cab, yeah.
In the winter time, no more...
I hated them with a cab on, they're so noisy.
The donkey jacks, you don't see
That's
the
it.
donkey
I used to
jackets
drive
no
a Drop
more.
with a big... Dad used to come out of an overcoat, get on, keep going, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. You
So,
know.
no, but some of the...
You have to edit this out, mate.
Because some of the old operators, they used to take the cabs off and say, no
We
boy, we don't have no
We
cabs
used to
on
take
it.
the cab off. With the Drops, this cab was so narrow. He had a little narrow cab with this. It was horrible, and the noise was terrible. First thing with Dad, if Dad had bought a Drop with a cab on, get it back. First thing, cut the cab off it.
Really?
Just cut it off and throw it in the iron. It don't matter. I'd rather have that than it was horrible with a cab on.
Really?
Horrible thing, yeah.
But I suppose visually you can look all around, without a cab, you can see all around. You can
Yeah,
see,
much better. And it was and you hear the nice sound of the engine. Do you know
that's
what I
it.
mean? And
No health and
especially-
safety in those days, was it? You know?
you just use your common sense, really. You didn't flip them over. You know, you just didn't go on a steep gradient with a bucket up or anything stupid like that. Dad educated you.
But that's
Being a
again
year-old, you know what I mean?
apprenticeship again. So you went on from there, and what sort of era was that? In the sort of late
Well, I was-
80s or something?
Yeah, well, probably early 80s because I left school 83, 84, yeah, out and about, and then after that I worked for Dad for about a year or so, and then luckily got a job from my brother Peter, driving dozers. First of all, old D60s.
Yeah.
I used to drive a big Komatsu D60 P6 it was called. It was a Bogmaster, 37-inch pads, great big 13-foot blade on it, Cummins engine, pushed like a train.
Oh, Cummins engine.
Better than a D6 it was. It would push. It
Really?
would push better than a D6. But
Really?
a D6 was a good machine. Don't get me wrong. They are
Yeah.
a brilliant machine.
Yeah.
But the Komatsu used to outpush the D6 easy.
Really?
Yeah, it was a good old tool, manual.
Yeah.
And then went on from that. Then he bought me. I had a brand new. This is in 1987. Everyone else had. I was the last in the line to get a new high track. The cats. It was a new thing then. The high track cat D6.
Oh, right, yeah.
OGP.
That's it, to keep the track out the mud or something, was it?
I just think a new design, revolutionary design. Yeah, trying to keep it. I don't really know.
or
but
was it the driving wheel
good
out the
machine
mud?
though. Lovely machine to drive. Sitting in the cab, you could slightly to an angle. You could see everything. It was
Yeah.
a beautiful machine to drive. Absolutely beautiful machine.
Really?
Yeah.
And what
I had
number was that?
That was a 1987 D6. That was the only really new blade that I got. And then shortly after that, I think he got a 953, and they put me on that for a little while, and I didn't really like it at first because I'd
Yeah.
driven track shovels, obviously in the past,
Yeah.
but nothing like that with the hydrostatic drive. It's so fast.
Oh, yeah.
So fast, and I said to my brother, I don't really like. He said, drive it or there's no job. So I just drove it, and I thought,
Yeah.
and after a week, I loved it.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
a
yeah.
Fantastic machine. And
I suppose
to
it's
this
like-
day, I still think they're a fantastic.
It's
machine.
like a new car. When you get in a new car,
Yeah,
innit?
it was a strange thing to drive. You know,
Yeah.
after driving the old 951s and that with a power shift, 3 gears,
Yeah.
and getting onto a hydrostatic machine, which with the engine on the back,
Oh, really?
it was all new then. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it was kind
Engine
of
on the
strange.
back?
Yeah, strange to drive. It was a weird
Yeah.
thing to drive, but you know, once you've driven it for a week or so, best
Yep.
machine in the world. Brilliant,
Oh, right.
absolutely brilliant machine. Yeah.
So when did you start going out on your own, doing your own stuff? Really?
About 20 years ago, really. I came off the machines. I ran the landfill site for my brother for about 4 or 5 years as landfill manager, and just felt that I was 30 something, and I just thought, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do something on my own, because you know I just fancied doing something on my own. So I
Yeah.
did. Went out. I bought a little lorry, little mini digger. Started
Yeah.
doing a little bit of groundworks, a little bit of this and that, and then ended up mainly doing just driveways. You know, like block paved driveways and
yeah.
that sort of thing. You sort of get. It takes you, doesn't it? Life.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
took me
Yeah.
that in that direction. I was doing all right, but now I'm just sort of come to an end of that. Now I'm sort of packing up that. And I just want to concentrate on doing a bit of machine work now. Really, you know, make it because it's so hard on you physically doing the
Yeah.
doing the old block paved drives and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
tarmacking
And we're getting
all
old.
that.
We're
I was
not being
tarmacking
diseases we used
yesterday,
to.
and it nearly killed me.
Really?
Oh my God, honestly.
So, your collection of drots and bits and pieces, are they just
It's rubbish. It's just rubbish, really,
just,
Robin.
it's just rust, as we
It's just
call it.
rust, yeah. It's just memorabilia.
they're not workhorses.
really. It's just well, I've got my Cat 953.
Yeah.
It's an old 953, 1987.
Yeah.
I
We're
couldn't
going to
afford-
look at that later
Yeah, it's
anyway.
cool. We can look at it anytime, like, yeah. It's an old 1987. It's actually got a bit of a conversion on it. It's got a Perkins engine in it instead of a Caterpillar engine.
Oh, right.
Someone else did it just before I bought it. They put the Perkins in it, and I kind of refined it a little bit more. Made the engine a little bit better, so the pump works a bit better and all that sort of stuff. But it's a lovely machine. It's old, but it's really earns me a good little bit of money now and then. you know.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
good, you know.
What about transporting it though?
Yeah, it's the only problem.
Yeah.
That is it. It costs a little bit to move it. You know,
Yeah.
you have to charge the way in, one-way movement to the customer, which they don't sometimes like. But I always pay the way out. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, right.
You
Well,
know,
that's a
yeah.
fair thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, looking at all your machines now, your as you called it, your rust machines.
Yeah.
What have you got? What's your collection?
I've got 3 international B100s, which I ended up back with. I sold them and then bought them back. For some reason, I don't know why. A bit of madness going on there or something. I don't know, a bit of dementia or something. You know? Maybe I'm mad. They should have run them in for scrap years ago.
Really?
Yeah. I bought I got an old Cat 951. A brother gifted me about a year ago. It was just a machine that had come to its life with him. They were just using it for pushing up a fire or something.
Yeah.
You know, and that was it. And then he kind of just gifted me that, and I'm just going to try and get it going a little bit better. That's okay. That starts and goes. The 953, which I use, you know, on a sort of reasonably regular basis if I can. And this little thing here.
And
a couple
you
of
got-
old tractors.
Well, you say old tractors. Now I'm a tractor man.
Yeah,
now.
well, they're old tractors.
Yeah.
mate.
We'll have a look at them as
Yeah.
well. You got a Ford,
I've got a Ford, which I've just got, which is a 4.6.
right?
It's an old, I think it's a P Reg 76, and an old International B275, I think it is.
B275. Yeah.
That's a good little old
Do
tractor.
you like them? Because I had a B250.
Not really. We never. My
Oh,
dad
and it
always
was
had
a
Fords.
pain.
My dad always had Fords, and it's a horrible thing to get in and out of. Your feet get caught in it. You
Yeah.
can't. It's not nice to drive. It's not. But it starts and goes all the time. It just
Really?
every time I could go out there
So
now.
what would you
I'll
use
show
it
you at the
for
start.
then?
Just really topping.
Maintenance, topping, that
topping.
sort of thing. Yeah. Put
Yeah.
a little, like, what, a 6
And
foot
I-
topper on it.
Yeah. And if I've got a, you know, like if someone comes up with an old tractor, if I see someone's got one for sale, something, I'll buy it and maybe sell it. You know,
right.
just for a bit of fun, really.
And you got the old Ford Major as
got an
well.
old Major which
Fulsom Major.
needs a bit of love around it. They all
Yeah.
need love, don't they? You know.
Yeah.
But
Well, thanks a lot for getting it. And what we're going to do, we're perhaps on another video,
Yeah.
part 2.
Yeah.
You're going to take us around, show me all your bits
Absolutely.
and pieces,
Yeah,
and
if you like.
I really appreciate you giving us your history and
That's
your
all right, mate.
background.
Yeah,
and
you're more than welcome.
I hope the viewers enjoyed it. Now, he's been really kind with us and give us a long interview about his life and his machines and one thing and another. Now, give the man a thumbs up for me. That's always great. And think about subscribing to the channel. Thanks for coming along with us, and catch you on the next one. Cheerio for now.